Hello everyone, my name is Lauren and I'm going to be talking about the eastern mole today. To begin, the eastern mole is found in parts of Canada as well as the eastern area of the United States in a temperate biome. Now these temperate biomes can consist of meadows, fields, and even some forests. A fun fact about the eastern mole is that they're the only mole species that can commonly be found in Texas. Moving on to the lifespan and size of the eastern mole only lives to about 24 to 36 months. They are generally small species, only reaching about 5 to 8 inches, and they don't weigh a lot, only about 1 to 5 ounces. That's not even half a pound. Their diet is consistent of that of an insectivore, which means they only really eat earthworms, grubs, or termites, sometimes ants, beetles, or crickets, any kind of bugs that you can find in the ground. These insectivores will also eat seeds that they come across while digging their tunnels. Finally, the lifestyle of the mole is a generally independent and solitary one. The only time the species really interacts with each other is whenever they're breeding or when the female moles are taking care of their young, though this only lasts for about 5 or 6 weeks because the small moles, also known as pups, will grow quickly and live independently at a young age. Because of this, they are a solitary species, and they live in their own established burrow system and don't really interact with other members of their species, even if they live right next to each other. Next, I'm going to talk about how the eastern mole is able to spend most of its time underground. The eastern mole is able to spend most of its life underground successfully and not have a hard time breathing because of the shape of its snout and the way that their circulatory system, or their blood, plays a major role of how they inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. Now, the snout of the eastern mole is very sensitive, and the snout also has a very unique organ that actually helps them see what they're smelling because, like us, they can't see very well in the dark. This special organ is called an Eimers organ. Now, the Eimers organ is found on or in the snout and has a lot of raised bumps called papillae that hold lots and lots of cells that are on the skin that are very sensitive to the smell. The eastern mole is a very special Eimers organ because it is actually in their snout under a layer of very thick skin, so it has to work extra hard. Even though it cannot be seen by other animals or people, it is a very important part of how the eastern mole helps them live underground.
Hi, my name is McKenna Ann. Next, we will be looking at a few physical attributes of the mole which have evolved over millions of years to benefit their survival rate. Looking at their body shape, moles have a cylindrical body shape which is perfectly adapted for moving through soil. This shape helps to reduce drag and friction as they tunnel through the earth. The body shape also allows them to navigate through small spaces and move with ease in all directions. A mole's hips are small yet powerful, providing the strength needed to dig through soil. They have a strong pelvic girdle and large gluteal muscles that allow them to exert considerable force when digging through the earth. These muscles in small width also enable them to twist and turn in tight spaces, allowing them to navigate their underground habitat with ease. Moles also have a short tail that serves as a sensory organ. The tail helps moles to maintain their balance and navigate through dark tunnels. It is covered in fine sensory hairs that allow them to detect vibration and movements in the earth, helping them to locate prey and avoid predators. Lastly, the fur of a mole is unique in that it lies in any direction. This adaptation allows moles to move easily in tight spaces and reduces friction as they tunnel through soil. The fur is also thick and velvety, providing insulation to help moles regulate their body temperature in their underground habitat. Moving on to the skeletal system, as you can see, the mole's forelimbs, which includes the ulna, radius, and humerus, are a lot more broader than their hind limbs. This adaptation of the mole allows them to have their extra leverage and strength for digging, which goes in hand with their thicker neck. Their broad neck helps the mole be able to push through soil while digging, especially if the soil is dense and compacted. Close by, we can see their large metacarpals and phalanges, which are similar to our fingers. A mole's claws are large to be able to dig efficiently underground. Lastly, as we can see, the ribs are smaller in width than a lot of other animals we know. Moles have adapted smaller ribs to benefit in the underground life for quick turns in their tunnels. This comes from their cylindrical body shape that helps them move easily and quickly underground.
Hello, I'm Robert, and now I'm going to get into how they know where they are and what's around them. So as we mentioned before, they have this specialized muzzle. And with this muzzle, you can see in the picture, they essentially just bang their head on the wall. And this creates vibrations that travel and it bounces off of things in the area. This is called seismic communication. So it's a really big word, but what it means is they communicate through vibrations. So they can't really see very well. So what they do is they feel the vibrations and they feel when it interacts with its surroundings. Like you can see one of the moles at the bottom sends off this vibration and it hits a rock. So it knows not to keep digging that way. There's a big rock. And then in the top left of the picture, you can see moles communicating with it. He bangs his head on the rock and he knows that there's another mole above him. And then you can see the other one in the top right who bangs his head and knows the surface is there. This is good for avoiding predators. They don't want to be out in the open. That's why they live underground. And also, another feature they have is they smell in stereo. So what this means is the way we see in 3D. So we can see contrast with our shapes, we can see different structures. Moles can't really see. So in order to make up for that, they have this advanced level of smelling. So the way you can best imagine it is if you can smell food in the other room, that's all you smell is the food. It takes up all of your nose. But for the mole rats, what they're going to smell is they're going to smell the food. They're going to smell where it's at on the table. They're going to smell the doorways that are blocking the smell. They're going to figure out how to get to it purely with their nose. And that is how they smell in stereo. This essentially means that they smell in 3D. And now we're going to play a little game. The game is called Two Truths and One Lie. The objective is to figure out which one of these is a lie. The first option is eastern mole rats prefer to live alone. The second option is eastern mole rats have long fuzzy tails that they use to keep warm in the winter. The third option is eastern mole rats use vibrations to communicate with their surroundings. Okay, now I'll give you a minute. Pause if you'd like. Did you pick the second option? The second option states eastern mole rats have long fuzzy tails that they use to keep warm in the winter. This option would be false. As we mentioned earlier in the video, the tail is used for sensory. It has very small little hairs that are used to pick up vibrations in the ground, to detect prey, or even avoid predators. Now, is there any questions?